I've been asked to talk a little bit about this song, American Girl. Out of all our songs, if I had to pick one, this is probably my favorite song that we ever did. And I remember when Tom brought the song in on the first record, we were all really excited. We knew there was something special about that song. And we actually cut it on the 4th of July, if you can imagine that, back in whenever it was, 76 maybe. I was going to explain a few of the elements in the recording of that record that I think make it unique. For one thing, at the beginning, of course, Tom had the chords. That was basically his part with a Bo Diddley undercurrent to it. And then when we cut the track, and we had this keyboard in the studio. We would call this studio the Brown Room. It was in an office building next to Shelter Records. And we had Noah Shark, our co-producer and engineer, and Max. And they had a keyboard in there. I think it was a Yamaha. And it had this thing where you hit the low note, and it would just gradually go up an octave. And we used that at the beginning of the song. If you listen closely, you can hear after we started. We hear this. And that kind of kicks the song off. And on the guitar, I noticed at the time, we didn't have a 12-string. And I wanted it to sound like it had a 12-string on it. And the thing with the 12-string is usually get octaves. So on the 6th string, I found a way on the D to get those octaves. If you hit them together, sounds a little bit like a 12-string. So as Tom was going, I started going, I just did that all the way through the chorus. And it was really exciting sounding. And then to make that sound more exciting, we overdubbed, I think, you got to keep in mind, I think we only had 8, maybe 16 analog tracks at the time. So we really had to condense all the bits that we put on there. So, and the other thing I did that guitar players may find interesting is to make it sound more in tune. When I played against Tom, I left the 3rd note of the chord out. So as the chords went up, I just played 1st and 5th. So it sounded like this. Instead of, it's more like, it really kind of sounds like trumpets in a way. So that helped the harmonics of the song sound a little more in tune. So against that, as the chords changed, I put in a few licks, like, I'm leading the 3rd out of the chord. Now on this B minor, I put a lick in. And then back to the drone. And then we had a little bridge part. And at the end, I did 2 things. The first time around, excuse me, on the end, I just played 2 notes. Over the chords. Which creates suspension. And then there was the fiddly bit at the end that I just came off the top of my head. And I didn't like it much, but everybody thought it was really good. And that does little finger picking. And that's the part that goes, shaking my finger. So that was the fiddly bit. Now, one little trick in there that some guys don't catch is when it goes up to the G, some people go. So you're going. Right here. That note, which is symmetrical, is really not in the chords. So I changed it to this note. So it's. So I went. At the very end, we had this. Like a. Live anyway. So that's the song American Girl, and it's got one of my favorite lyrics. God, it's so painful when something so close is still so far out of reach. And that line was so Tom. And that song, we played it, you know, every gig for 40 years, and every night it would still get me excited as soon as I heard that clang, clang, clang. There's just something about the exuberance and the joy in that song. And another thing that made the song really great was this singer, Phil Seymour, who was with the Dwight Twilley Band. And at the end, well, he did Make It Last All Night. That was Phil Seymour's high voice. At the very end, while we're going out on the chorus, we wanted that vocal to go on forever. And there was no Pro Tools at the time. So Tom and Phil Seymour went out, and Tom would start, and then when he ran out of breath, Phil would come with, when he ran out of breath, Tom would come in under it, so you get a seamless, we call it the laser vocal on the very end. And that really created a lot of tension and excitement in the song. So that's for all you people that have been asking about that song. There's a little demonstration of how the guitar parts are put together. And of course, Ron played an amazing bass, and Stan, Ben. It was the first song that I think of Heartbreakers really sounded like what we were going to be, you know, our sound on that song. So thank you for listening, and I hope you like that song half as much as I do. And until next time, stay safe. Take care.